I'm going to be reviewing some of my favorite pieces of equipment that I use and my team uses here at Gymnazo on a daily basis. These are a piece of equipment that have the most value and especially are awesome and very beneficial, versatile for any new trainer looking to get into the equipment game for clients, whether it be in your facility or virtually at your client's home. So when I thought about this list, I thought about boiling it down to its pure essentials and what I would want to have and spend the least amount of money, but still get the most amount of value if I was to repurchase all my equipment all over again, especially as a brand new trainer. When you don't really have all the funds that you would like to have and you need to make some equipment purchases, again, for in-facility or for your client's home so you can train them virtually and they have everything that's required for them to get not only the expertise that you serve, but of course, that extra little bonus of what that tool, that piece of equipment can offer them. So when I boiled it down, I thought about it again. What would I do if I didn't have these five? And it really kind of was tough to really bring it down to this nice, compact list of power blocks, of MōV sticks, of foam rollers, of plyo boxes, and of the Vipr, or the Vipr Pro. Let me break down each and every one of them, what they are, the pro and con as I see it, and then a few kind of demos in a sense of how I use it or the mass amount of versatility and therefore value that it brings me and my clients. So let's start with the power block, which is a key essential piece and something I had to learn over years of why I'm choosing the power block over any other dumbbell, and I would never go back. And I want you to tell a quick story in your mind about if you've ever been to a traditional weight gym in a sense, big box gym, and think about that line, that huge rack of dumbbells that goes underneath the mirror. And you think about, man, look at all those options I got from 5 pounds and then way down there, I'll maybe hit some triple digits. And I look at that and I say, what an underutilization of square footage. In my facility, in most boutique training facilities, the amount of square foot that you have to train in is your biggest, if not one of your biggest expenses, rent. So in our facility, we try to maximize how much open square footage we have so we can maximize movement. And I don't want a dumbbell rack taking up a bunch of room. Not only that, creating a lot of room for some dust and other things to get underneath. So when I look at these power blocks, I look at how amazing it is that I can get 90 pounds of weight in essentially a 1x2 or a simple small footprint. Now that's what I love about it, and that's an amazing pro of what makes this power block setup so great. And what we have is for some of our athletes we go all the way to 90 pounds. For some of the athletes we actually only go up to 32 pounds. And what's great about this is that I can take this and easily make a select change just by pulling out this handle, going to a color that matches the color on top of here, pull that weight out, and I'm ready to rock and roll in a very, very quick amount of time. Because in circuit training or group classes, it's important that you can change equipment very quickly and make that selection not even about memorizing a number, but what we like, and we're getting into this a lot more, is memorizing a color. And you can see around me there's a lot of color. And that's on purpose because it's tough to find the weight you want when you're staring at a small number, but it's really easy to see a color selection and make that call and get rock and rolling for your workout. So unfortunately, a con about the power blocks is only one user can use a power block at a time, because once that handle is out of that rack, well, essentially, there's no one else that could use that weight. So I certainly get it, right? You have to understand that when you have a big row of dumbbells, you have, as many dumbbells per handles that you have. And a power block, there's essentially only 2 handles. Again, that is a slight deviation because there is a setup that has 2 more handles here, but it's only a set weight of 5 or 10 pounds. However, we looked about that and we understood that that is such a small, insignificant detail that we should just buy more power blocks. Now again, that took us time to grow our business before we made that decision, but we have over 15 sets of power blocks. And in fact, when I look at how much weight we actually have more than a traditional big box gym does, just packaged And people look at it and they walk into our facility like, where's your dumbbells? And I'm like, oh, they're right there. And they're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So it's really this amazing space-saving opportunity. Now, they are not the cheapest, and by far not even close to the cheapest. But I didn't say what equipment is the cheapest. I said what equipment is the most amount of value. And that's, I think, the most important piece, because you don't want to buy equipment, A, that's going to break, and then it's going to be down, and therefore you don't have it for maybe a week, if not longer time, especially in this set of equipment shortage that we've found ourselves in. So it's really important that you get quality equipment. Spend money the right way the first time, even if it's more. Now, how to use that power block? Well, you can use it any way that you can use a dumbbell. In fact, I like it even better because it has a square shape to it, which basically gives me more stability on prone work. And my older clientele, my baby boomer clientele, loves that safety, that security, that where they can take it and it doesn't have that rolling away effect that it would typically have. Besides just strength, I wanted to go back to the most stability, flexibility, elasticity side. And I want to talk about this simple, super awesome contraption called the stick mobility, or a MōV stick as we call it. And this amazing piece of highly blended plastic with some cool rubber handles and this orange look is an essential piece to our training and conditioning, because essential for us is not just strength training, not just cardiovascular training, but flexibility training, mobility training, and sustainable training. And instead of having a bunch of those true stretches back there, which we absolutely love, but are super expensive in a sense, right? But also add an immense amount of value, I can get about 20, if not 30 of these guys, maybe even more than that, for only one of those. So if I'm talking about a group training class, I definitely recommend starting with one of these. Now, what is it again? It's a stick, right? But what do I do with that stick? The pro and con of it? Well, it goes anywhere. It's super easy to transport. It doesn't cost relatively that much. And the effects of it is only limited by imagination and understanding of biomechanics, of how to lengthen and tension this human body. Are there cons? I don't think so. I really don't think there's a single con with this stick unless you compare it against something like that true stretch behind me. But that's a different classification, right? That's a kind of a whole different playing field. So to me, this MōV stick is only enhanced by your knowledge and the amount of MōV sticks that you have. 2 MōV sticks, even better. So how do I use this tool? Well, it's not just this amazing staff where you start to do some Taekwondo stuff. In reality, I don't even know if you use a stick with Taekwondo or bow staff, but it's amazing how I can just set myself up as an example, just getting a lateral stretch, right? Now, what I like about this lateral stretch is that I can use my bottom hand as a tensioned agent, right? And I can push it away, which only magnifies the amount of effort of flexion I get here, and therefore opening up my extension there. Because this stick, as it bows, wants to bow back, and it pulls me away as I hold this, and therefore I get a stretch essentially much easier. Now it takes energy down here, but I get more effect down there. That's just a simple upright stance. Like, we can get super fancy with it. Get underneath you, open yourself up, and start to really peel back a shoulder and start to get through the hip. Now, this is not really a stretch I'll do, but the fact of the matter is it's up to your imagination. Of course, your understanding of biomechanics and what that can conduce into the body. But think about this one as how I can set myself up not only for warm-up positions, right? I can start to get some good thoracic spine motion, a big stretch, a particular way to provide isometric or active tension into a shoulder, into a core, as I drive that stick into the ground and create this tension network through my lateral chain, or et cetera, et cetera. We actually run entire cool down or entire restoration or mobility classes by using this and the next tool that I'm about to talk about, which is the foam roller. Now, the foam roller, as I have a bunch of them right back here, is really this, I like to think of it as like an artist using different carving tools for wood or for clay, or for a massage therapist, instead of using their hands, they can use other tools that can't reach through a screen. Or we don't have the soft tissue skills to physically put our hands on a body, because the fascial network of connective tissue in our body is vast. And if we don't work on it, I'm going to highly encourage you understand as much as you possibly can about how the fascia plays into mobility, flexibility, strength, and this amazing thing called power that we want to train as much as possible. So let's grab a few and let's understand what's going on here. So if I was going to go bare bones basic, right? Bare bones basic, I would grab onto a trigger point. That would be the brand ball. I think it's called an M5. And then they're small, or they're kind of half rollers right through there. What I love about these tools is, again, it's like different heads on a screwdriver, right? We have a screwdriver that's a star shaped, right? There's a Phillips, and you have a flat head. Well, it's still a screwdriver, right? It's still foam rolling tools, but they have different purposes for particular aspects of the human body. Much more tight, close areas, hip flexors, ribs, subscapular muscles, shoulder blade, right? Getting into the inside thigh. We're adding even greater pressure point because it's an actual more of a point instead of a flat surface. But then you have the roller for broad areas or for less focused intensity. And what I like what they did about this material, and they even have an updated ball that's at our front desk that has the same grid pattern as this roller does. So the ball and grid pattern are essentially the same. Is it allows much more hydration and fluid transfer through the body versus a flat standard. Think about like a rain tire on your car, right? There's a lot of channels and grooves. Well, there's a reason for those, right? It allows fluid to be pushed and moved out of the way. Nice job, trigger point. And also has broad surface points, right? Where you just want the most amount of contact as possible. Think about like a tire slick or a drag race tire, right? Nothing but pure rubber on that road. Great job, trigger point. Thanks for thinking about that for me, because I want to get the most amount of results as quickly as possible when I'm applying a foam rolling technique or movement to any one of my clients. Amazing, amazing quick tools. If you do not own several of these, if you're in a group training environment, I highly recommend that you get them, because again, the soft tissue network in your body, the connective tissue fascia, if that is not hydrated, pliable, and elastic, I'm just going to say this, it's a ticking time bomb your client has inside of them before something rips, tears, strains, sprains, and they no longer are paying you because they can't move without pain. So dig into this, check this out. But if you want to go to the next level, if you want to take this a little bit higher, then I highly recommend something from what's called Hyper Ice. And they make amazing soft tissue tools that have essentially vibrating motors inside of them. Now, the price point is much higher, but the resale value at your front desk is also much higher, right? Because every product that we have, we also, especially these ones, we offer our clients to buy to take home, especially in the virtual training era where we want all of our clients to have this at home because we're training them from a screen. So each one of these have a vibrating motor, and the vibration in these tools, different levels, and you got to think about vibration. What does vibration do? Well, it does essentially two essential things. It loosens things up, and it activates more essentially neuromuscular transmission, right? If I can keep it that simple. So if you want to therefore loosen something up faster, you vibrate it, right? So another tool, don't want to forget about these. Again, not the cheapest by any means, but again, we're not talking about cheap today. We're talking about value and what that value brings your client and therefore to your business. Now, moving on, I want to think about this thing called these plyo boxes here. And I got every single one of them. And I got basically, I'll just call this one a 2-footer, a 1.5 feet, a foot, a 6, and then a 3-incher. And what these tools do, right? Why do I think about a plyo box? Well, a plyo box for me is really not about jumping onto it. Certainly that is what they're used for, but that's not why it made this short list of only 5 pieces of equipment. It made the short list because of the versatility it gives so many different clientele levels. So again, we can jump on a plyo box, but what else can we do with a plyo box? Well, we can kneel on it, we could sit on it, we can go prone on it, we could jump over it, we can step onto it, and I can go even further. Actually, we use these for jumping the least. It's about saying, think about this one. Guys, I need you to get to a prone position, and I need to do a frontal plane hip drive while on the ground. You've now put everybody at a full gravitational load on the ground, and they have to manage a dynamic hip motion for, let's say, 1 minute. That's gonna be a pretty tough move. And you're gonna have to be a decent amount of a level of athlete to accomplish that without failure or putting undue stress on other parts of your body. But if I did that same plank, let's say on this box here, I'm now 2 feet off the ground. I'm at a different angle, and therefore gravity plays on my body at a whole different level. So now I can train essentially my 50-plus-year-old whose core has been deconditioned for the past 20, 30 years sitting at a desk, and they can still do that drill under the same time load as everyone else. Not only do they feel psychologically that they've kept up with the rest of the pack, but you had the availability to use something other than a box just for jumping on. And that's an amazing, amazing tool to have, and have that versatility when you're training a vast amount of clientele, especially as a group trainer would. A one-on-one trainer, I get it. You can change your environment, use other aspects, but I'm talking about group training. When you go into, say, all right, guys, we're gonna do a side plank, or we're gonna do a squat, and I want you to get down to that parallel position. What if there's a safety net down there? What if something that they can squat down to, not just as a safety, but again, as a goal, something to just shoot for versus just this open air squat? And what if you want to do some dynamic cardiovascular drills? We want to put a foot up onto a box, not just jump onto it, but do a lateral switch over in a sense, right? Or run around it, use it as a slalom. So it's not only a box to get onto, but to actually avoid or get around. It acts like cones in a sense, or even such types of obstacles. So we really love it for, again, its versatility of how we can train so many different levels of clientele and have so many different options where they feel safe, well taken care of, and most importantly, leveled appropriately, even if they're amongst higher level athletes. And again, I'm gonna say this once more, colorful, right? Colorful. I'm of the mindset and of the methodology that a gym environment should be colorful. Why are all playgrounds for children colorful? It's exciting. Now again, this is my methodology and my play, because there's certainly a lot of garage gyms that are wood and metal, and there's not much color at all. But again, I would say just we have a difference of opinion on methodology of our business and how to train clients. However, I want somebody to quickly know I'm a blue, and I don't want them to know that it's a foot higher. They're just blue, or they're orange, or they're red, etc. And I like it how it communicates and follows the same pattern as our as our power blocks. Again, universal communication. Clients understand where they're at, and it makes the session run smoother. Let's go to the end. And my last, and what I saved for the last, is the Vipr, especially the Vipr Pro. We have a custom rack behind me that we've built and developed again for space saving and floor print versatility, right? And what I love about the Vipr in particular, and especially this new Vipr Pro, is that this tool is unlimited. It's unlimited in its potential in what it can do. And I've been using this tool for almost 9 years now, and I'm still caught with things like I haven't thought about yet. So let's talk about the basics, right? It is a loaded weapon, right? I use the word weapon as a joke, right? It's a loaded utensil where I can do multi-directional, mass, momentum, and therefore strength building techniques. If I connect it with the ground, I now have a stability tool. I can not only take it on land, I can take it in the water. For any type of people who are around the beach or around lakes or a swimming pool, it is an amazing water tool that there's not that many tools you can add that much load to it and bring in the water and still be confident that you bring it out of it, it's not going to get ruined. And what I love about it is that it again provides this color-coded selection where I know where, again, my color versus my weight. Now, what you can do with this, again, we think about loading as a multi-directional, multi-planar way to move and to grab and to move through a system or a spherical space. Does it not mean I can't do a traditional hang clean and a press, right? I can certainly do all those aspects. We use the Vipr as essentially a traditional CrossFitter would use a barbell. They may have 15, 20 of them or more in their box. Well, in our training facility, we have 75 of these because, as a CrossFitter would say, look at the versatility, all the things I can do with it. Well, I can say the Vipr can do more. What it can't do is load above about 70 pounds. Now, you would say, gosh, Michael, 70 pounds, that's not even a warm-up weight for most people with a deadlift or with a clean and jerk. In fact, it doesn't even touch even the initial level that strength needs to be developed to stimulate the tissue. Well, I would say, yeah, you're definitely right? It is not everything. But I would question back, do you need that much weight in functional everyday training? And I would start to edge that case in my favor because we don't. We simply just don't. And for the vast majority of clientele, we need appropriate loading versus overloading. And again, this is my opinion on it, but it certainly has served me very, very well, having weight that stays in the 20 to 50 range versus going into the 3-digit range. In terms of my sustainability of my clientele, the success I've had with my clientele, and the overall longevity, again, I'll say that word a little differently versus the sustainability, the longevity of a paying client and how their body feels and therefore moves better. Then, doesn't mean I don't have barbells here. Then we apply a barbell. So it's a great training tool, a great versatility tool, and it is endless in its application. They are certainly on the more expensive side, but again, we're not talking about cheap, we're talking about value. And I say pound for pound, the most valuable tool I've ever owned in my facility, and I highly recommend picking up as much as you can if you want to follow strength and conditioning, metabolic conditioning, mobility, and the versatility of movement. There's this great saying out there that the best ability is the availability of your options and of your motion. And this tool certainly brings that punch every single day. Hope you loved this content and hope you appreciated the simplicity of what it takes to open a facility with the minimum amount of equipment or the availability to bring this equipment in someone's home. If you love this content, like, subscribe. We come up with content every single week, helping out the trainer and also the consumer on what they can learn from the inside scoop behind the scenes of what trainers are talking about. Use this material, ask questions, throw it in the comments, and we're here to serve you, to build your business, build your practice, and of course, those athletes out there, to have you this insight so you can make the best decisions for your own training and not have to learn from, let's say, someone who doesn't have the experience that we have with over a decade building functional fitness and having that multidimensional outlook of how to train for the vastness of what the human body gives us. I'm Michael Hughes with Gymnazo. Have a great day.